Now, John LeBoutillier knows more about American politics than anyone I know. And he's also got the most fantastic radio voice. And he's been such a help to us now over years on the mother of all talk shows and now on The Week. I missed him when I was in New York the other day. I hope to be there again soon. I hope he's listening to my Wednesday morning New York radio show at 9 a.m. John LeBoutillier, welcome back to The Week.
George, my
Sure.
condolences over apparently a recent election setback for you.
Yes, it's not the end of the world by any means, John.
Well, but
I
you
have
know,
many other
I
things
think
to do.
Your listeners need to know that those of us who run for office, it is the end of the world. We believe
It's a blow, yeah,
that,
it's a blow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a big deal. We don't do politics. You from the left, me from the right. We never did politics to make money, to enrich ourselves. We did it because we think we can help solve the country's problems.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had to take 6 weeks off work. I've had no wages for 6 weeks. I'm off the TV and I'm off the radio. And I don't get paid for the New York radio show. So it's been, and I've spent a lot of money on my election. So far from making it, I was losing it. But there's always another day. There's always another day, John.
I know, but yeah, there is another day. But you've done it, and you've been in office, and you will be in office again, George. It's just not the right time for George Galloway to win an election right now, but maybe in a couple of years it will.
Scottish nationalism swept all before it last night in the Scottish elections. John, we need to get together face-to-face to discuss various radio options, but I wanted to talk to you tonight especially about the transformation in Barack Obama's electoral prospects as a result of the killing of bin Laden. I'm presuming that you think they are transformed.
No, I think they're improved, obviously. His poll ratings as of tonight, 5 days since this thing, on average have gone up from around 46% approval rating of his presidency before the raid to around 57% after the raid, which is good. Now,
it's good, but it's not transformative.
No, it's not. And I'll give you two that were transformative, but that didn't last either. First one was the first President Bush, spring of 1991, with Operation Desert Storm, with Maggie Thatcher as his partner when we expelled Saddam from Kuwait. George H.W. Bush had a 91% approval rating in May of 1991. A year and a half later, in November of 1992, he loses his presidency. He only got 37% of the vote. So the economy was bad. I mean, I'm going to tell you and your listeners the history of Winston Churchill winning World War II, and less than 6 months later, he's out.
Yeah.
The economy is everything. And as good as Obama did, and he did a great job ordering and running and selecting the right option, on this Osama bin Laden thing. As good as that was, the unemployment numbers that came out today, where our unemployment rate went back up to 9%. It had been down to 8.8. That's not good for him and not good for any president's reelection. So it's a mixed bag. You know, he's bedeviled by a bad economy. He didn't create the bad economy, and he inherited it. But it's going to hurt him. On the other hand, the Republicans, of which I am one, obviously, the candidates for president are the biggest bunch of clowns I have ever seen, and none of them could beat Barack Obama. There has to be someone running who is not yet on the scene if we Republicans want to win.
Well, let's go through them. I mean, this Donald Trump, who is often running, it's almost impossible from this side of the pond to believe that such a man could be the President of the United States. And the nightmare scenario for us would be if one were forced to choose between Donald Trump and Sarah Palin.
Right. Well, they're two peas in the same pod. They are from the grassroots Tea Party movement side of the Republican Party, which is very emotional, very angry. They hate Obama. They hate a lot of things. And they're just all emotion, and whatever candidate gets up and shouts nasty diatribes does well. But in the process, George, of doing well among that group, you do very badly among every other group of voters, especially the independent voters. So Trump is not going to run.
Is he just image building, yeah?
Fade. Well, he had a bad week last week. You know, he had the birth certificate. Obama released his birth certificate, which completely ended that ridiculous issue.
Yeah.
Then came the Saturday night before this Osama bin Laden thing happened. Obama, as president, is the main guest every year at this thing called the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it's all the reporters who cover Washington. They get a big ballroom. The president comes and tells jokes. And all these guests come of friends of reporters and all movie actors, all this stuff. And every joke that night, George, was making fun of Donald Trump.
I saw some of the pictures, yeah.
He was sitting there in the crowd fuming. Instead of laughing at the joke, which, I mean, hey, can you laugh at George Galloway?
Yes, you have to. Even if you don't want to, you have to.
Oh, there you go. But see, a billionaire doesn't want to be laughed at. He doesn't know how to laugh at himself, and he fires anybody who laughs at him. You go into politics, you better have a thick skin and a lot of patience. He has neither.
Yeah.
So I think he's going down. I think Palin's already finished.
She's already finished, yeah.
But we had a thing last night. We had the first Republican debate. 5 of them met in South Carolina, and it was on Fox News on TV last night. And the overwhelming winner, this tells you where we're at, the overwhelming winner was a black American, a black Republican, who's never held any political office. He's a businessman who owns and runs his own chain of pizza stores called Godfather's Pizzas.
I've seen those, yeah.
Named Herman Cain. And he went on this debate and was way out there nailing everybody, and he won the debate, which doesn't mean much for him, but it means that the other 4 Republican candidates lost the debate to a guy that's never been in politics before. And it tells us about the Republicans. They're lost at sea about who to get to be a candidate.
I saw Huckabee on Fox News the other day playing his guitar. Is he a credible runner?
Well, I think he's credible among the born-again Christians, of which he is one. He is a preacher, too. And he ran last time as the Christian evangelical candidate, and he won the Iowa caucuses because of it. And I believe that's the only thing he won, but he rode that thing for weeks afterwards. The polls show he and Mitt Romney, are the leading candidates as of now, but there's very little enthusiasm for any of them.
Now, Romney is fantastically rich, relatively liberal, but also a Mormon.
And the fact that he's a Mormon, George, is a big problem inside the Republican primaries, where those born-again evangelicals are the single largest group. And as I understand it, evangelicals believe Mormonism is a cult, not a religion.
That's right.
And that hurt him. That's why Huckabee beat Romney last time in Iowa and really set Romney off in bad trouble. And I think he's in big trouble this time because he was the author of this health care bill in his home state of Massachusetts that was the precursor of Obama's health care bill.
So it's
and
really
the Republican Party hates these health care bills.
It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and she's not that Snow White.
You got it. Yeah.
John LeBoutillier, the sage of American politics. Please, Laura, make sure I know John's current email, would you, please, so I can contact him after the show. Thanks very much indeed. We've got, about 25 minutes to go. 08717223344. I've got so many calls. I'm not going to get round to everyone, which is why I had to cut John a little bit short. Let's go to Imran in Slough, who's been waiting a long time. Go ahead, Imran.